village board members are present. And also remind people that the public meeting laws are posted in the office of the clerk, if anyone is interested. I realize that agenda is just available as you get here. Has anybody got any comments on the agenda? Any visitor comments? Judy?
Just a little question on this one where it said clean up on the Wink, is it Twink or Wink's place and the Phillips place? Is that a cleanup to come up, or is that you going after them?
No. I'm not.
No one knows?
No, I'm not sure which I answered. And I was just going to give a report. Nothing's been done there.
Yeah. Oh, that's all.
We had an initiative to get that stuff out of there.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened yet. So, as to my knowledge, unless it happened today.
Yeah, that's all. I just saw that.
No. Are you asking the second part of your question? Are we prioritizing that for action? The answer is no.
Okay.
I think we're going to stick with our Williams property that we decided last month to focus on, and I do have an update on that. Any other questions or comments? Questions or comments? Okay, then Alan Hine is here. Normally we wouldn't divert from the agenda, but Alan started work on the Harbine Street project, which we authorized actually over a year ago. Earlier this week, moved equipment in Monday, wasn't it, Alan?
Yeah, I believe so.
And sort of and so then as I was getting him sort of lined up where he could take the asphalt that he removes from the holes and what have you, he asked if he could approach the board to see if the board wanted. He's got some extra asphalt, is that correct? And see if the board would want to do any additional work. So I said he could come. That's why he's here.
Yep, that's why I'm here.
And I thought maybe he'd he said he'd either give me a proposal or he'd be at the meeting, so he came to the meeting.
I'm here.
Did you drive and look at?
Come drive, put some on the
Badgers
driveway.
that
You know,
you've done in
I-
the past, or?
No, actually what I did was,
I hope he does a better job than
You park your car?
I just went all the way down
That's right,
Harbine,
he's on the west side.
the whole main, from top to bottom, which is
Yeah,
asphalt.
where you usually park your
Actually,
car?
the street, Harbine Street,
So you just need to
bad
drive
shape.
No, it's not, you know.
I looked at it after we talked. And I also thought where we kind of
Find some gravel and all
we
that.
kind of made a promise to
One of these
people on the
times
east
when
side of
you
town that
go,
we
you
would
cut
do
the
some work
lights and these
on
put them
3rd and
on.
4th Street,
Throw
at
some
least a
more down
block
top of the
off
mountain.
of the highway on each of those streets. And the condition of those streets is poor.
As long as it's not too
There's
bad.
where the asphalt was breaking up on the edges and so on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, I guess that's I'm having to realize.
Well, what I've got is roughly 2,000 gallons of oil. You know, that, I've got,
It's okay, that's
I can use it anywhere, to be honest, you know, but I thought maybe since I was here,
Well, and I gave my, I'm going to shut up because that's my 2 cents worth.
yeah, so,
Other board members want to ask questions or have comments or, I was just looking, we do have street funds, but
We've got a big, when we get that ditch opened up, that's gonna be a big expense. I'm concerned with that.
we want to stay with our priority of going east.
I hate to, you know, like in on 4th Street, I would hate to do a lot of repairs before we do that ditch work too, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I thought about that too.
You know, we really probably should have the other contractor's working here, or at least we should have him look at that 4th Street over there.
Yeah, we're gonna have,
Yeah.
should have a sewer line going up the side of the highway and then out on Fourth, right?
Yeah, it's my understanding is not Jim, that if we get it opened up, that they will work on making the drainage the way it should be, even before the highway is.
The way I understood it.
Yeah, they said they'll go over there and work, because it's just running right down the, not draining any place, basically, but right down the edge of the nowhere. It isn't something that, if we do it now, they'll come in and help us get it workable now. We can open it up. And that's on the east side there. I don't know, yeah, we got the funds.
But really, this is probably
Yeah.
where we would spend them anyway.
What about 3rd Street? Would we want to do a portion of that that's bad? That would be past your place, South Street.
South Street. Yeah,
We've
there are
got
a
that
few
for,
rough patches in there.
Bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we
getting
got that.
Well,
worse.
it's about a block
Yeah.
over that bridge.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, then it goes to county shortly. Well, a
Well,
little
but
further.
there's nobody
goes,
on
but-
it.
But there, yeah, it's not
Once you
bad
get
once you
past
drop over
Lawrence,
the
it's
bridge. It's not bad.
Yeah, then
There's nobody to,
from the bridge east,
It's not bad. It's doable
it's
to
pretty
drive
good
on.
shape.
well, plus there's nobody lives there.
Yeah.
But we'd have to have,
Yeah,
we'd have to have, well, we'd have to have Alan look at it.
Mhm.
That's not this.
That's not it.
No.
And
that's-
they vary so much from block to block.
Yeah,
It depends on
we
the
couldn't,
patch.
Yeah, no, we can't take this part that
no, we'd have
he
to,
built up, no.
and I know you probably wanted to do, if you were gonna do it while you were here.
That was true, yep, yep.
Yeah, that would be such, wouldn't be worth them coming back for such a small amount.
No. Well, they probably ever did as much as what we're doing now.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Well, just
That
a
is
little
such
block.
a, it's a wide area. And he
It's
is
not
in
as
the area.
wide as it's there.
No. No, I mean, Main Street is 80 people, I don't know.
I could show you what we're talking about, Alan, why don't we do that?
That's fine.
I think
Yeah.
you'll, unless somebody wants to,
I'd be interested in having something done with that over
Right north, yeah.
there. That is bad.
you know.
Yeah, 'cause we had to tear out a
How
water line.
how about me catching you tomorrow and we'll look at that?
That's fine, you betcha. I won't be here in the morning. I gotta go to Milligan,
Okay.
but I'll be here right after dinner.
All right. Okay, that's fine.
That's where we was headed from here, was Milligan.
And just curiosity, are you doing, I noticed there was some work done in another community and they used the white rock. Are you doing any communities with the white rock or?
Humboldt, I got, around here, no, I don't.
I just wondered,
Yeah.
I'm sure this other.
About the only one, well, Chester, we are gonna do Chester, and they use White Rock.
They like the white rock, don't they?
Yeah. Bruning uses White Rock.
But you didn't do them?
I didn't do
You didn't,
Bruning.
okay.
And, probably, I'm gonna do Beaver Crossing this year, and they're gonna use White Rock. To get White Rock hauled down here,
Pretty costly, isn't it?
it's probably pretty close to $30 a ton.
Yeah. That's come out of,
I'm a keen on that anyway, man, so that's the,
it is terrible, but it does hold. We did Main Street up, I don't know, a long time ago, and it really did hold that time, but, okay. Good, what, you do that.
all right,
see.
I'll meet with you tomorrow.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Lagoon project updates, asked Mrs. Rudd to, we got a actually it was an email from Jack, what's his name, Baumberger, am I close? Borgmeyer, thank you. It was with Midwest Right Away. Can you summarize where we're at on that?
Yeah, the letters went out to the property owners last week, and they should be able to get in to do the inspections and appraisals this week. And then they have to go to the review appraiser for approval, and then they will send them to the village
For approval.
for approval. He doesn't seem to think it's going to take that much time if they're down here this week.
I think that even though I realize that the likelihood of getting the work done this summer is remote, if not, past remote as far as I'm concerned. Still, I think we ought to, as soon as those appraisals are available and ready for board review, I think we need to have a special meeting. I think we need to, in order to show good faith, I think we need to expedite. I think we need to always move as quickly as we possibly can. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does to me, yes.
And of course, there's no, we'll try and pick a time that's, board members have been very good about attending special meetings, and we'll try to accommodate you. Obviously, we'll have them outside of work hours, and Mrs. Rutt will visit with you as to what works for you. But that's my thought on that is, if we get those before the next regular meeting, even if it's a week.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, and then I put this on here just in the event that, last month we approved a downsizing of the project. I thought at some point in time JEO was going to come with revised specs. Obviously not tonight, but probably going to leave that on there just in the eventuality that that's going to happen. If something else that you can be thinking about. So we'll move on to sex offender residence restrictions, and I got a letter from, actually the letter was sent a week ago Monday, so I got it the latter part of last week from Mrs. Bauer. Christine had outlined some things for me, and I incorporated those into a letter, sent it to Mrs. Bauer. She responded. And so every board member should have gotten a copy of that letter, and I asked that the letter be included with the agenda copy this evening.
For the people?
Did that happen?
No, I didn't, but I will make them.
Well, if not, I can read it. It's not that terribly long.
No.
Let me do that. So I think there's some interest in this. Board members, you've had a chance to look at it. Okay. There are several considerations for the board if enacting a new sex offender ordinance. Excuse me. The most significant in my mind is that any residency restrictions may only be applied to persons who have been identified as sexual predators per Nebraska statute. I tried to do a little bit more research on that. Wasn't very successful. I was not able to obtain an identification of predators per se, only registered sex offenders. Christine?
It's a level 3 that the state marks them as, and that's a sexual predator, level 3 and higher.
Level 3? Mm-hmm. All right, so you know more about that. I don't know how, with that I'll go on. So I don't know what the status is of the people who are registered in, okay. Thus, there may be registered sex offenders in the village that would not be required to comply. With respect to the latitude you have in those restrictions, to pass constitutional muster, a law must be rationally related to the purpose. I think it's pretty obvious that our purpose would be to protect children. For the specific example, that's an editorial. For the specific examples you cited in your letter of June 20, I think you would have no problem with the city-owned playground park and any licensed daycare facility. Those have been tested in court and upheld in the past. I think you would have a tougher time with the library and church and school bus pickup points. State law says that restrictions cannot be applied to anyone who established a residence before July 1, 2006, doesn't apply, and has not moved from that residence or who established a residence after that day, and the playground or daycare was established after the initial residence. So that paragraph really is moot. None of those provisions are applicable. The 500-foot boundary, which is what I outlined in my letter because that's standard, is what is commonly prescribed in other ordinances and by state law. I inquired about state law. I believe the ordinance can be applied retroactively, subject to the July 1, 2006 limitation mentioned above. If I did not address all of your questions adequately, please feel free to give me a call before the next town board meeting. I thought that she addressed them all, everything that I had posed. So, I've thought about this. I don't know if any other board members have given it much thought at this point or not.
I guess if the playground would apply, definitely, and the right over to community center.
Right.
But,
Right. We don't have a licensed daycare.
There's a lot of other states that have done school bus stops if the stop's at a town-owned property, and that's upheld in court in other states also.
Okay.
So I didn't know if you wanted to try that at least.
Well, where the kids, at least one of the pickup points is on city property, right here. Right on the corner.
Vetch's old garage.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I see the kids get picked up.
yeah.
And I think that'll probably stay as a pickup point. I would think. It's been there
Well,
for
we
a long
could
time.
even probably request it.
Right.
But
Am I in it? Well, 500 feet is less than 2 blocks.
Right.
A block being roughly 300 feet.
and then you have to take into account the roads, streets too, don't you?
I suppose.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, I'll stand corrected, that if we use the 500-foot designation, that we would accomplish anything at this time. That doesn't say we shouldn't do it or that we shouldn't have an ordinance. I'm not sure it would change anything.
It would. It'd get rid of the ones that are here. It'll cover the whole main street, and it'll cover north of our property, and it'll cover from the park west to, I think, the east side of our block.
Well, if you're outside the 500 foot,
But it's property line to property line.
property line.
Yeah.
Property line.
So the edge of the school property, which would be the northwest, if you go from the northwest corner of that property
Okay. Yeah.
and measure 500 feet, that's how you measure it.
Okay.
So you
They'll be
would,
close.
Right.
you would do the same
Well, according
thing.
to the county assessor's website,
Yeah.
that's what I used for the measuring.
Okay, you would do the same thing down here. You would take the
Right.
south boundary and measure
Right.
500
Okay.
feet as per
Well-
wise.
Right.
Right.
No?
Gonna be the devil's advocate a little bit,
Yeah.
and because then the board can do as they like. We're still going to have a problem with enforcement. I can't get any cooperation from this county sheriff. I cannot get him to even answer a call. Something considerably less serious in my mind.
You want him to call back?
No,
Oh, that.
not just once, but several
Oh.
times. But that having been said, that is a consideration, and we can pass anything.
The enforcement of it is.
Well, and then it has to, like as Mrs. Bauer says, it has to stand muster, and it has, and you have the enforcement.
Who are we talking about? Aren't they in the paper? I didn't notice any in the
Yeah,
paper.
but you gotta have, Yeah,
They're supposed to
there's,
be listed in the
They
paper.
are.
There was
They
just
are.
one within Alexandria.
yeah, there's two.
Is there two?
Too.
Hopefully not
But they
much
don't-
longer.
They
there
don't
six?
print them. Their county does
Oh, I
not
couldn't
print
be.
theirs.
Right.
Jefferson
Well, on the
County
outside,
Every week.
about it, there's others.
I don't think the Bear County paper's not in the
does.
Eagle
Well,
paper.
they haven't, and they never read them.
Oh,
I don't know if
really?
Dishler does.
Well, that having been said,
As far as the enforcement side of things, I mean, granted, you said that he doesn't call you back. Can we request him to come to a meeting and ask him why, give us a reason for not enforcing?
well,
You know,
Say,
have him come
The other
and, come
thing
and put
I-
it on
I
a record
suppose we
why.
could, you know, I think from now on, if I want, if I can, I might go to the state patrol.
They want to pay it.
Well, I know that,
He'll
but I
say-
want him to
he'll
sit
say
here and
because
say.
I'm not, I'm not
pay it.
saying, you know, I guess maybe you'll have better luck than I do.
well, you know, this goes back to another thing we talked about a long time ago, of talking to different communities that are not in this program and approaching the commissioners about changing the setup the way it is. Because Dishler, Hebron, Vernon, and Davenport are the only communities in this law enforcement. That's not very many.
They're not gonna change that unless we give them some money.
Well, but I think if you start approaching the commissioners about it, the communities are not in.
They patrol bridges.
I think
I think
communities,
she's got a thousand bunch of one living behind her.
because they're not happy. They say, well,
I know, but they all
somebody's
have a
over
right
here,
to live
or
somewhere.
over there. Well,
I mean,
they might
they're not
find you out,
bothering nobody.
somebody shot in the dog.
They got more
Fred
rights
Well,
than
he
what
was
me and
happy
you
with
do
it. He
together.
doesn't talk to their board
Fred
members.
doesn't leave his house.
No.
The other one are trying to get him
They
turned out.
vote-
I think they are.
They vote for
They
it,
think the
but
way they are.
They do it
I know
hesitantly.
Jay Bowers.
Gee, if she's so worried about it, then move out of
Doris,
town.
you know what?
Move out of
My
town.
child is in the front yard and they come out and watch her in the sprinkler.
No, they
That's a
don't.
problem. Yes,
I've
they
never
do.
seen them.
You can't see them from your house.
I can see
you
in
can
the
see 'em
front
on the
yard.
main street.
Ladies,
Don't tell me it's not a problem.
ladies. Well, let's get,
Yeah.
the item on the deal is sex offender residence restrictions. That's the agenda item. Let's keep our discussion to that. And, you know, it really, we're to the point of, does the board, you know, if we have an ordinance drafted, will Mrs. Bowers will do it? We ask her to do it. According to, or following whatever
Yes.
restrictions we put in, or limitations we put in there.
Right.
She had told us at one time that there were ordinances of ours that she can enforce at Linda herself. Now, how is she gonna do that? Do you remember that she told us there was things?
Well, I guess I'm thinking what she meant was she would take care of the court part of it.
Okay, you think that's totally
Yeah.
what she meant? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
she
think
can
law
represent us in court.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think law enforcement has to enforce.
They self-automatically issue the ticket.
Mhm.
Well, absent a licensed daycare, are we talking about the park and possibly the
That's
bus
Yeah,
stop
I would
located
include-
on village property?
Right. I would include that,
Which we could certainly try it.
yes.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make
Nope.
that motion.
Yes,
To
Because there's no parking, no school bus stop right there.
No.
Nope.
a 500-foot restriction
Why didn't she move her pool?
From-
to the other side, and then he went over
You shouldn't have to adjust my
from
life
the
because
outer
of her.
property.
Why should you adjust their lives to
Just
you,
as
huh?
polluted as they
Yeah.
are.
Left it at home. Restriction applied to persons who have been identified as sexual predators per Nebraska statute. 500 foot from city-owned playgrounds / parks and bus stop on city property. Since we, and include daycare in case anybody ever opens one.
That's fine. Is there a second?
I would second
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I do have one question about this a little bit, Steve. You know, when you mentioned the daycare,
Licensed daycare.
you couldn't probably apply that daycare, could you? If you established it later?
It's
the
all
area?
in there in that last two paragraphs.
That's where
If they establish it
The
after.
residence is established before the daycare, then
Right.
they're exempt.
They're exempt,
But it-
yeah.
Okay.
But part of this will,
But if they establish the daycare and there's nobody within the 500 foot, then nobody can move within the
They
500
could
foot.
still, you would protect
well, it wouldn't,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be applicable now, but as
Right.
Jeremy Jeremy says, if there was a daycare, licensed daycare established, then anybody after that would have to be outside the 500 foot limitation. So, that's appropriate discussion.
Okay.
Any other discussion? I'll call the question. Mark?
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Derflinger? Jeremy?
Yes.
Mr. Watson? Yes. I'll vote yes. Well,
that's
We'll cross that
the
bridge.
other.
yeah, you can't enforce it if you don't
500
have
feet from where they are.
it. Okay, the next item is claims, treasurer's reports and minutes. Mrs. Rush pointed out that there were some additions to the claims. I think we ought to defer the one on Fox until we have that, until we just have a report on that and discuss it. We can deal with that in conjunction with the agenda item at the tail end. If you haven't seen the bill, you may want to look at it. I think the bill is, I think the extra work part was okay for repairing or doing the bleachers.
Yeah.
So, and then there was an addition for bank interest on the loan, the amount of $2,724. And what was the other? Oh, Mr. Yeah. That's not on
S&P
here.
dirt work, no.
We need to add, you've got the bill now. This,
S&P Dirt Works, total of $3,990.74. Yes.
They came this morning about 6 o'clock and they finished up tonight about shortly after 6, I guess. But the good news on that is they held off till today because yesterday the NRD approved our little grant deal, so we'll get half of this from the NRD.
Nice.
That was going to be fruitless anyway.
Well,
But we were hoping.
Never know.
Oh, man. Well, if you don't try it, you don't get it. Oh, great.
so.
That'll just help us with this other work we have to do a lot.
I don't know how much time they're going to give us on that, because after I talked to them this morning, I've got to sign an interlocal agreement, which is one of the big deals, which the board approved grant application. But I would put a little money in there for seeding, and I thought, but there's absolutely no point trying to do any seeding now. But I thought maybe we could seed that, and maybe even seed there in front of Mrs. Brown. But there's no point trying to do that until this fall.
No.
Like, you know, and I don't know who I'd be open to suggestions that somebody that had a drill or could do, you know, do the ground, the dirt work that would need to be done at that time, because you're gonna have to. So that's possible maybe at this
Pretty
point.
small equipment.
Excuse me, the NRD's got access, they've got their own drill and stuff, maybe they could have the NRD do it. But they've got drills and stuff when they do land work, and you might ask them.
What size are they on? I mean,
They've got small ones, they've
Out
got
of the
big
bricks.
ones.
5-footer, I think.
Yeah, that's what we need there.
But it's just a suggestion.
Like what they do for the food plots and stuff. Well, like I say, there's absolutely no point trying to do it until this fall anyway. Questions on any of the other bills? Been pretty happy with the Boopley mowing. The only thing I probably could grouse a time or two about the south well house. That doesn't get the. But otherwise, I think he's done a nice job. We did get the outfield or the ballpark hayed, and also the foul park. So, or he did. I didn't do anything. But I think he's done a pretty good job. Of course, now it's getting so dry that you don't have to mow very often again.
I'll move to accept claims treasurer report in the minutes.
Accepting the Fox bill.
Accepting the Fox bill, yeah.
Act on that later.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Do you have that, Mrs. Rudd? Okay. Any other discussion? None, I'll call the question. Jim?
Yep.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
I'll vote aye. Okay, I pointed out on this truck restriction ordinance on Harbine, I'm looking at, between 4th and 5th hasn't been a problem, but I'm wondering if maybe if we were going to do something, we wouldn't, and maybe we don't need an ordinance. Maybe we just need to have it in the minutes that we're prohibiting truck traffic on those 2 blocks. And I talked to the county, or not the county, the State Department of Roads guy in Hebron a couple times. But I think, and he gave me some names, but I really think what we're going to need it pretty quick, because.
Right.
Didn't you say you've got a source for sign? What if we just put up a sign at? I think what we ought to do is just put up a sign at the north and south ends. One of those ones that has a truck with a slash through it, like they got down at the park in Fairbury. Instead of trying to put a weight limit on it.
No,
Right.
you can't hardly do that.
We don't have a weigh station. I mean, how the heck would you know? Just both paying. I mean,
Yeah.
that must be pretty obvious. And then we need to contact Union Pacific Railroad and tell them to try. Because that's probably 95.
That's who tore it up.
That's 95% of the problem.
Right.
Maybe the gravel, I've seen people,
I can contact
something.
Beatrice Concrete.
yeah,
That's
why
no
don't you,
problem.
because
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal was, but one day,
I don't
they were
carry
hauling a
wire.
lot of trucks, they were getting individual for their own, there's something else going on. It wasn't consolidated trucks, but they were turning and
Well,
going,
again,
yeah,
it's going to be impossible to police that.
yeah.
It just.
But if they know, we can
At
try.
least we tried.
Do you have a source for poles?
They're just 4x4s.
Yeah.
That's all you use is just a
Yeah.
4x4?
Yeah, just like a stop sign.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Not metal.
postal meter.
Yeah.
Judy?
Since you're talking about signs and stuff, we lost all of our signs around here. They went up with slow children or slow drive, kids at play or something like that. We lost their 15 mile an hour through here. We lost all those signs. Who do you talk to get on 53 before they come into town? 45 is too fast to go down that one when you've got small children that go across that. We need a pedestrian crosswalk to go to the park, because these semi trucks come through
from the
here
north,
faster than 40 mile an hour, and we got little hot rod people that run up and down that road.
It would be this
And-
fellow I've been talking to from Hebron.
If you could get that lowered down to at least 25,
Ain't gonna happen.
because they got to slow down to come across the tracks. They don't need to be hauling it through here. One of our kids is going to get killed out there because the little kids cross the highway to go play on the equipment. We see it every day.
Yeah.
And,
That's a good point.
and you know, they just go too fast through here.
But you're talking sign for traffic coming from the north.
And the
Both
south,
directions.
both directions.
People get in their even locals here. They'll get in their pickup trucks and they'll haul ass. Pardon my French. They haul going up through here. They'll peel out their tires and everything. And you know, we have no law enforcement or anything. But if we could get the semi trucks to slow down, that's the scariest part. Is because those little kids, I've seen them 2 and 3 years old crossing that highway. And we need a
Obviously
pedestrian
that-
crosswalk.
I can contact the state, but that's.
Well, I just want to know who you got to talk
Well,
to
that's who
to
you
try to
have
get it
talk to,
done.
The State Department of Roads, and it would be the guy in Thayer County, because it's the same guy I'm trying to get to fill the potholes on the approaches. So, and the guy caught hell for the bridge deal. Remember?
Yeah.
So, no, I can call him.
Well, you know, I don't have any small children here. I do have grandchildren that come once in a while, but I don't have any small kids. But I don't want to see anybody else's little kid get hurt. And those trucks do come by through here too fast.
And there's gravel trucks.
Yeah, and the gravel trucks that people that have that gravel place out there. Anyway, they travel too fast through here.
Okay.
Hey, Steve, I was wondering when you talked to Jerry, you know where that kid is, why don't you ask him if he would consider, as far as our street here, they go awfully fast on 6th Street there.
I will talk to him about
Yeah,
that.
and see if they would consider doing a
That
north.
bears on the same subject.
Yeah, it's 30 mile an hour up there on 6th Street, and they don't pay no attention to that.
I don't know if he would consider going out north.
Speed bumps.
With his trucks.
Can't do that. Not on 6th Street.
No, they're not.
It's a state road.
They're
Think-
not- They're not going to reroute.
But it's in town. It's in the city limits. You can do county road.
Spike sticks.
They can slow down.
Tax.
I can talk to them.
Good.
Tell them that concern, complaining, not complaints, concern. Well, I guess I'd call it complaint.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Next
Uh, Well, we're still on the bills, I think. Did we
Okay.
get done with the bills?
You're on the truck restriction ordinance.
Yeah, we're all
Yep.
moved on, all right.
So you
Anything
want
else?
two- you want
There's
two-
nothing else on this, as far as action at this time. I'll do some, we'll get some signs.
Do you want me to get a couple signs?
Yeah, two.
Okay.
And then I guess I need to, I need to put them up.
Hey, Donna, you might need, if they would turn on to, we're gonna do between 4th and,
I think we're gonna put it up so that there's two blocks there.
okay.
I don't think one block, I think they'll just,
Well, I'm
more
thinking-
likely to ignore.
I'm thinking if they turn on
How are they gonna
to,
see it before they turn? If it's
Well, they
facing that
can,
way.
they can go, you know, if they're coming from the south, they can still go over the highway.
I know, but if it's facing north, like the stop sign, you know,
yeah,
they're going this way. If they're already turning and then they see the sign, it's a little too late.
if they
That's
turn.
true.
They'll get
Probably they're gonna
notice.
know
But
they
if we
can't
if we
turn.
contact the
Manning Waring, she'll contact them.
the Union Pacific, they shouldn't be
Yeah.
turning. You know, she's gonna have, somebody's gonna have to issue a directive to, the only thing is, when they're coming from the west, they just make it, it's just one block shorter for them to get to the shop. And it's the only time they hurry all day.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Otherwise, they, you know, and so they could go over to the highway and go down, and that's what it amounts to. And then sometimes when they're leaving the shop, they putz up
Yeah.
from the south. They're going a lot slower in the morning than they are in the evening.
I just think it's.
All right.
They see,
I can either help them
Jim's helped
Well,
with signs up before.
I can help.
Do you have a postal?
I can.
Yeah, I think he probably does.
Yeah. Don't tell me where they want them. I can.
Jim and I put signs up before, haven't we?
I can make it
Sign
happen.
posts. The sign-
Yeah.
You just use regular sign. We should
I
have
know
a
tractor
tractor
and
and
four
loader.
by four treated it.
I was just wondering, Steve. That's true too. You put one here.
Steel sign posts.
one there.
Steel sign?
Somebody-
Yeah, they would
If you got them on hand,
Yeah.
Do we need?
that's
one
easier.
more?
Well, you're not, that can happen. They can come
Yeah.
from,
Yeah,
they can come from over here too.
yeah, that's true.
I think, you know, the only thing that's really gonna stop them is if the Union Pacific Railroad
They-
tells them
they
that
tell them they
aren't
can't.
going
Yeah.
not to go there. The signs aren't gonna stop them.
No, some people would consider it, but if 9 out of 10, then they do as they please.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Next item, fire hydrants. On June 28th, Mr. Peterson called me and said he did have the fire hydrants that we were looking for. He was apologetic. He said that he had talked to Alan at some point in time and had commented that they'd make good, the hydrants would make good office decor. But he didn't talk to anybody in recently, and he had been contacted by the Thayer County Sheriff's Department. I'm not privy to the content of that conversation. It was one of the reasons I called the sheriff to talk to him, and as I say, that's not the only call I'm waiting for. So he's got them. I told him to hold on to them until I could visit with the board and see what the board wanted to do.
Mr. Chairman, if I can inject here, Mr. Peterson and I he was here doing some work, and we happened to be down there, and these hydrants were there, and some of them were a little older than others, and he had made the comment, they, like you said, they make nice decor. Basically, all he wanted was the top part. I said, as far as I'm concerned, that's fine with me, but you've got to talk to the board. You can't, I can't make that kind of decision.
Thank you. 'Cause yeah.
And so I wanted to clarify that I didn't have, that I didn't tell him, yeah, you can have these.
So why he decided at that particular point in time, I mean, he had equipment down there, but that doesn't really justify just hauling them away on his own volition. He was apologetic. He asked, he said, "What, I want to do whatever I can to make it right." But it's not a good deal.
How many fire hydrants are we talking about?
I asked him. He said 2 or 3. I thought there were more than that.
There are three.
Is
There
that
are
it?
three.
Okay.
That
I would have
remember
guessed more
the
than
three.
that. My memory's imperfect, but
What about the little tiny ones? The little 2-inch, are those still in there?
That's behind the old, they're behind.
were there more pipes down there than that? Maybe there were just some.
No, I think they were just fire hydrants.
That were
Stems,
attached to the-
and stems.
That's what I mean.
Right.
They have some stems, yeah.
He said 2 or 3. So, and one of them he said was particularly old. That was an attraction, I guess, for the thing.
Probably was that one newer, or whatever they were.
Salvage value is pretty minimal on 3
Yeah.
fire hydrants.
But take them apart for him
Well, I said, I told the sheriff, I told Rick, and he brought it to my attention. I said, geez, if somebody would have just approached me, I would have said, we'll haul them away and we'll split the difference with you. Split the whatever they bring, but,
yeah.
because otherwise you just lay there in the weeds.
Right.
and they're in the way when you're trying to mow. But
He should have.
should have said
Sort of asked them, really.
Yeah, he can have far I concern, but he should have asked.
Well, I have a suggestion, you can, I'm open to suggestions.
Oh, you're open.
He could have offered to pay for the, or at least take some money off your bill to him.
Could have given credit.
You know, gave a credit to you, just if he just wanted the hydrant part. He could have come back out and just got the hydrant part. Because salvage is good enough on those tubes that are there. You know, you're looking at a couple $100 you could have got off of those.
My
Wait.
My suggestion at this point in time is, and like I said, I'm open to anybody else's, is I direct him to take the hydrants to Beatley's,
Well, I would too.
sell them for salvage, and have Beatley send us the check. If he wants them, he can make a deal with Beatley at this
That
point.
sounds good to me.
And like I say, that's my 2 cents worth, and you can go from there.
I was thinking that before you said that
That's the
because,
way to handle it.
really to get much out of them, you gotta get away all the way.
I don't
And then
know.
bring 'em
You
back
know,
here.
I thought maybe there was more there. Frankly, I thought there was 4 or 5.
But there are 30.
That's the way to handle it. He wants
Yeah.
to buy the top, he can buy it immediately.
Well, I think at this point, that's more than fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Can I have a motion to that effect?
I'll move.
Okay. Jim moves to direct him to sell them to salvage, and if he's interested in it, he can make a deal for them with the salvage company and have the check sent to the village.
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mrs. Derflinger. Any other discussion? Now I'll call a question. Jeremy?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Jim?
Yeah.
Marge? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Next item. Building permit, Randy Derflinger. I've got it right here. Letter from Chris Fry, the county zoning commissioner, administrator. Randy's applied for a permit to put up a 10 by 12 foot storage building. I've inspected the site, the setbacks are being met, and the use is appropriate for the district. As you know, this area of Alexandria is in the floodplain. I would recommend approval of this application if Mr. Derflinger signs off that he is aware of the potential for flooding and holds the village harmless if the permit is approved, and that's what we've done in the past. That is to say that the landowner has to waive any, hold the village harmless.
This is what was a copy of what we had signed 5 years ago.
Okay, can we use that? With
Yeah,
date changes?
I just need to change the dates and the,
Make it applicable.
mhm.
Where do we get this, do you remember?
The attorney's
Attorney
journal,
had to do that.
journal drew it up, yeah.
All right. Thank you. I would recommend approval of this application if Mr. Derflinger signs off that he is aware of the potential for flooding and holds the village harmless if the permit is approved. Well, that's what this form does. There is a drawing here, but I'm sort of lost it.
Just on the southeast corner of his house. The way it looks to me.
Yeah.
Well, this is
What it looked like to me with those, that.
Yeah, that's the southeast corner of, and then his garage is right here.
We have a motion to approve the building with the condition that he holds the village harmless.
Your neighbor. Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Jeremy Winston, and a second by
It's the singing that's
Anderson.
terrible.
Approve the building
Whoever's
permit.
singing.
Randy
Is it probably
Derflinger,
Randy?
Oh, God, it's bad.
subject to hold harmless.
Remember Tiny Tim?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Tiny
Any other
Tim's much
discussion?
better.
Oh, really?
This is right, please.
That says a
Oh, I
lot.
think I have to.
It's bad.
Cats having sex sounds
Mark, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Jim?
Yeah.
Jeremy?
Yes.
All
Well, they were online, I was listening to it, I thought, gee, he said, somebody's in pain, they need to put him down. He's bad.
How many times can you put one house around?
Okay.
That's one of their favorites.
I've got some things here that
I mean, yeah, I had to play on guitar when I was taking guitar class.
Alan, you want to
Other things.
give us the benefit of your
Sure.
wisdom?
Okay, thank you. Water and wastewater, everything seems to be going pretty well. Samples, everything has been coming back good. Got
Are we discharging now?
No,
We're still, that's good.
but I think we're gonna have to start because the surface water is coming up.
There is.
And being we're talking about surface water, over here at Bonds, they had an excessive use of water. Donna, what are they at now? Do you know?
Yeah, I read it again tonight. They use like 28,000
A day.
in 6 days. And it was 40,000 in about 12 or 13 days. They used 83,000 the first month.
Well, a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, it was on a Saturday, Mr. Dager and Donna and I were down there and I knocked on the door and no one came, but we pulled the plug out of the meter pit and the meter was just sitting there spinning. And so we told them, basically you've got a water leak someplace.
Did you finally get somebody to come to the door?
Yes.
Not
Not that, but I visited with him this afternoon. He tried to take that lid off and about screwed the lock on it, but I got the lid off, took the foam out, and the meter was just a spinning. There's water in the bottom of the pit, which is normal, but that is surface water. He told Donna that it was wet by the meter pit. It isn't wet by the meter pit. If there was that much water, it would be all soaked up. We walked to the back of the house and I saw absolutely nothing. As dry as everything is, I know this water is going to take a while to soak, but this amount of water, they definitely have a problem there.
Well, where's the water going?
I have no idea. He thinks the water line comes from the meter pit to the house. I said, it's got to tee off someplace. Because you can't hear it or anything. Might get Russ Top to come down from Nebraska Rural Water for the heck of it and just try to trace something.
Is there
Well, it's gotta be on
any
their
cellar?
line,
Is there
otherwise
any
the-
cellar there or anything?
Well, not that I know of, and not that he
I know that's
knew
wet
of.
area, but
Not that he knew of.
Did you find where the old pit was?
No. He didn't think there was a pit.
they, yeah.
Somebody
Somebody mentioned a
that there was
pit and an old meter.
Yeah.
Steve Mine.
Steve Mine.
Mentioned.
Steve Mine did, because he lived
He
there.
literally said there's
I
another.
thought you said it was up by the house.
It's up by the house is where that old pit is.
That wouldn't, that's neither here nor there.
No, but I mean, you could open it up and see if there was
If the leak
water
is
There,
there.
there is an old cistern about 5 feet east of the southeast corner of the house. We took the lid off of it, and that thing's dry.
Wow.
But it's also 2/3 filled with dirt, so I mean, it isn't like the old cisterns or
Well, it
whatever.
wasn't of any consequence when there was no charge, when it was a flat charge for water.
But he saw it spin just like I did this afternoon.
Now,
It's basically, I told him it's basically your problem.
Plumber or somebody.
You were running and.
No, he says we
Peterson's
don't
over
hear
there.
any water running in the house.
How soon you think you
That's
could
what they
get Russ
call
to come down?
Probably sometime first part of the week, maybe even yet this week. I don't know, depends how.
Could the
busy
meter be
he is.
bad?
No. Because we shut it off with a curb stop wrench and the meter quit turning. There's definitely a leak someplace.
Lines broke going to the house or something. Could be
That's almost
broke.
be dumping.
But he claims he's got good pressure in the house.
Really?
I told him, I said, if you get your water leak fixed, then it'll probably have more pressure and then you will have leaks in the house.
Yeah.
But-
If there was any water. then-
well, what it boils down to is if we don't get paid for the water, then we're gonna have to
Shut it off.
Right?
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else you can do other than tell them.
right.
Man.
The only other thing I got a letter from this Chris Luby from Health and Human Services, and Alexandria qualifies for some grant money up to $10,000 for, it's a security grant, and the village has to match 10%. You can get chlorinators, you can get generators, you can get security lights, you can get security fences. And so I visited with her and I asked her, I said, how about new windows and a new door for our old well house? And she said that would qualify.
Boy, that'd be great.
And so I talked to Steve a little bit about it, and I talked to Henry Orff. Henry Orff happens to be down at Greg Buckley's now, and I gave Greg Steve's number and Alan Henry's number. And we've got to have this submitted by the 14th of August.
Oh, okay.
So it can be reviewed. I've got to have a proposal from a contractor, what it's going to cost to replace the windows and the door and whatever. And I thought we might as well go for it. There's a couple stipulations in there, but we abide by that. We've got to have a emergency contact response policy. We've got that. Got to have NIMS training, either the 200 or the 700 NIMS training. I've got both of those. Jeremy's got both of those. So,
I've got it.
yeah. So we basically, and we've got a real good shot at getting this, being this is a first time thing. So what I need is the blessing of the board to go ahead with this, to have somebody look into putting in a new door. Do you want a door with a window in it?
You think we do?
I think we
You're
should.
the one that checks it, so you.
Well,
when you get a grant.
I'm not sure that those are as available as they used to be. I would prefer that.
I'd rather have it with a window.
Not a sticking point.
No.
But I even thought maybe he could even add it into his bid a little bit, that he could put styrofoam insulation inside there and insulate it for the winter time.
Is that a possibility?
Possibility. I talked to him about that.
I think what we're wanting after I talked to Alan last night is the board's okay, because we're not going to be able to come back to the board. I mean, the next meeting is the 14th, and this is due the 15th.
Oh, man. Really?
So, but we're wanting to, submit a proposal for that project, and talk to Henry Orff about, remember when we looked into this door, we got a bid from Dakin Lumber, and the door, because it was odd size, was over $1,000.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Right.
And he
So,
repaired it,
and I thought maybe we
which he
could, I looked at the end of the day when I was down there checking, well, I think we could put those slider windows, or again, and those, you can order the size, I know that. Board, what I put in the basement of my house was kind of neat too, those stony block windows. I mean, we could talk, and Henry might have some other better ideas. I don't know.
It might be nice to be able to open a window a little bit, to let a little bit of
Yes.
air in there in the
Yeah, that was the thought,
summertime.
wasn't it? Yeah, you're right.
In
So
the
sliders
summertime.
make more sense.
Have to be screened.
They have to be screened,
They
but I
are.
mean, but this project has to be done by the 30th of June of 2014. So I mean, we've got right at a year, but Henry seemed like he'd be
Well,
willing to do it.
that 90-10 match is kind of hard. If we can get some money, it's pretty hard to turn down.
Try it. Hey, Steve, and if, you said this is
We're not-
really tight, if you have to come back and have a meeting here, there's nothing that says that you can't add another thing to a special meeting.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
yeah.
We might meet before August 14th
Yeah,
anyway. But,
so you can-
I think we just want
Yeah,
permission to
what do you
proceed.
need?
I think so.
Well, a motion to allow us to
Yeah, I'll make a motion to,
develop a
Have,
proposal and talk to Mr. Orff about product and installation and project costs.
yeah, I'll make a motion that you guys proceed with that. And one with the water operator.
Do you want two bids?
Well, probably, if it's a government, maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know. It probably wouldn't hurt. The only thing is you almost never get apples to apples.
No.
Depends on what, unless we have a set of specifications, says the door will be this and the windows will be this.
We want an insulated door.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we can.
And a good quality.
The other thing
window.
is,
Yeah, triple
pane.
window, yeah.
getting it done. But we can make that clear. We can seek multiple bids and tell them we gotta have a bid, the bid by August such and
I
such.
told her that on the phone yesterday.
That's fine. Given that we might not meet with the board, let's try to get at least two competitive bids. I don't know who else Bacon Lumbering gonna be interested
No,
in
you
that
look at
small.
that now. It's hard, small projects.
It's like Jessica from Ohio, isn't it? Jessica
Yep,
or something?
somebody up there.
Jessica, I think. from
Okay.
Ohio.
We can talk.
We can.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I have a
I gave you a
motion?
motion.
Should I get a second?
I'll second.
Mark, okay. Don't jump in there, Jeremy. Further discussion?
All over the place.
I know you.
Uh,
Yes.
Mark. Jeremy?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
I'll abstain.
You needed to, he's sworn
I'm
to keep ready to
asking
say
for it, I
yes,
guess.
so.
You're abstaining?
I'm abstaining. We got enough yeses.
That's basically all I've got for my report. Thank you.
This Williams property, the update on that is, that was one of the calls I didn't get back from the county sheriff. I was calling the wrong person anyway. Just asking if there had been a sheriff's sale scheduled. Didn't get an answer from him, so I contacted the county attorney, which is probably where I should have started. And they're having a second default hearing on this on the second. People didn't show up at the initial hearing, so this is a second round of hearings on this property, the Williams property, and then it'll be scheduled for sale. So the county attorney's office said they would let me know when it came up for sale. It probably will be at this summer/fall. And then I haven't seen anything. I put this on here in case anybody wanted to kind of report if anybody had done anything. There was some talk about volunteering to do something at the Phillips. Bob Bockel did get the okay to shred it, so Bob did that. That was a volunteer thing by Bob Bockel. But I don't think anybody has removed anything from either of those properties unless somebody tells me different.
You could remove all those thistles in the back there.
He did.
No, he didn't.
He shredded them.
By the dog kennel,
I don't know how far back.
they're seeded out. There's a lot of thistles back
That
there.
was what he was concerned about. So
Huh?
he was concerned about those.
Well, there's a field, Arden Michaels. It's full of thistles over there. And they're all seeded out. Some are still blooming. And then there was 3 in this Four Thieves lot.
Yeah, I did see those.
Yeah, purple flower.
Did we get written permission from the property in order to go on there, other than the shredding?
I don't know. Mars.
I know that was part of the
Some.
discussion.
Some people will be allowed to go on.
So, okay.
Okay.
Well, apparently Bob had permission.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he did.
Okay.
Is there a way you can list who they'll let on so that we can just start doing it?
Excuse me?
Is there a way you can make a
Oh.
list of who they say, yeah, you can get on there
Talk
so that
to
we can
Christina.
start?
Okay?
What did you say, Mark?
I told her to talk to me.
Okay. Okay, then.
Who's responsible for removing the thistles so they don't spread into
The
other people's
landowner.
yard?
The landowner is responsible.
And if they don't?
There isn't, if they don't, they're responsible.
If they want to grow them, they can grow them.
Right now, growing stuff to me.
Noxious, what you call
And the
it?
other
Noxious
weed-
I don't
weeds
think
are
the village
against the
is
law to
responsible
have.
for every time somebody is derelict, it's not, it doesn't fall back on the village.
No, but I thought maybe you'd write them a letter.
It don't do any good, they can't do it.
That would be, we've
Well,
done,
at least a
We
year.
get it
It talks about this stagnant water and
They won't
nuisance.
do weed board. They spray, but they don't. Because in the country, the weed board might. Do they even get after the, in the country anymore after them, Jim, much?
What's
A
that?
lot of this is sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
really?
That's probably by my mom's neighbor's back there.
I've never had them get after me.
It may require laws.
Let's move on. This, Fox, I think, is probably, thinks he's finished anyway at the community center. I got to look at it, Sunday, was it? And then I went back up there yesterday at Martin's request, yesterday morning. I think overall, did a pretty good job. Marge has some concerns about the bleachers, and I think that they're probably pretty well founded. I don't exactly know.
There's another ordinance that's specific.
How could nobody see that? Those 3 thistles and the 4 thieves right there.
Well,
How could you not see
I
those?
picked a couple of those little
Yeah.
Because they know what they look
I
like.
wasn't the only one, somebody else.
Yeah,
Get out of there.
It's gonna expose what was there.
I mean, I saw it. I mean, that
think he
blows.
didn't,
When it turns to seed, it's, of the wind will carry it all
I'm
over.
not sure he did any, those were a high gloss, red, and that oil-based enamel. And unless you
Did it?
go over that with a product
This
called
talks about the weeds.
surfacing or a product that dulls that
Weeds
surface,
includes, but not limited
or
to
you put on an
light
enamel
weight,
undercoater,
puncture bond,
something that will create a
leafy
bond.
spurge, Canada thistle,
That's it. Yeah.
perennial
But it's
grass.
the seed today.
But I don't,
Knapweed.
well, that was my biggest concern, was that the paint wasn't pure. Well, yesterday, I
It's
didn't.
against the law.
I know, that's what who's taking a look at that. I thought it was
I
against
don't
the law. It's
understand why
not.
that latex paint wouldn't be cured or dry to the touch and not tacky after 4 days.
The specs, the particles on them concern me because those were pretty smooth, as you said.
Oh,
the
yeah.
scouts
I
painted
painted them the last time they got painted.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they spray them.
Well, I think like that,
Something they painted.
they were scraping and I think they were priming and I think that primer fell down on them and didn't.
I think they picked them up out of the cracks and was
I don't think they took it properly cleaned that spec.
probably swept them off, but then either if they sprayed them, they blew that stuff out of the cracks. If they rolled them, they picked it up out of the.
Yeah, I think that.
So I think that the thing to do is to get him up here, express the concern about the surface of the bleachers. That's the concern, right, Mark?
That's my big concern. is
That's-
that, The one day when after Dean was not there, the guy helping was working on the bleachers. Dean wasn't there. He was,
Where the
yeah, so, he wasn't, I didn't stay around all day, but he was working on them.
It doesn't take a lot if you've got chips or
they're
dust
gonna
or
go
particles,
off.
and you start rolling that stuff, and it's there.
Mhm.
You just you can get a different roller, and you're just fighting. It's just a lost cause. That doesn't really. If it were just those specs, if that paint was cured properly and
You
hard,
think those would cure in?
I would be less concerned than I am. Why is this stuff tacky after 4 or
But that's
5
the
days?
enamel.
Because of the
That's-
humidity.
I just wonder about the enamel.
Well,
That's
that's
my
a-
big,
it is.
oil base, that's my concern.
And it will dry eventually. But, Judy,
The paint, if it doesn't dry, the paint has either been frozen at one time, the paint could be spoiled. Depends on where he bought his paint. If he bought his paint at a discount store or at like the Eagle store where you can get
No.
5-gallon paint, I'm just saying, if the paint has been frozen, gotten too cold at one time, it will spoil, and it will not cure out.
Well, we need to get him.
And I worked at Home Depot in the paint department, so I think I know a
that's
little
the
bit.
thing. I honestly think Steve
No, that's
could
not
make
right.
I believe, Steve, that you could make a pretty good determination, seeing as how that was your father's occupation.
Well,
Yeah,
I've had
so-
that happen, and I've had it happen with product and didn't know why it happened.
Or if it's not stirred up good enough, and the
Yeah.
God, I can't even think of what it's called now. Anyway, if it's not stirred completely, shook up
You
real
don't know
good,
sometimes why, what
The dryer
happens.
it's not going to cure out.
But it's sticky. It's just not
Well, it'll dry eventually, it's just a question of,
when.
the other thing is, it's not like, I mean, Jim, it looks 100% better.
Catalyst, isn't it?
So much
Catalyst
brighter,
is in
it's
the
really,
paint.
it's an
Catalyst.
It's
improvement.
clean,
But I
yeah.
think, we just need to get him up
We're
here
gonna
and
have to.
talk to him about it. And, you know, if we want to approve part of the bill tonight and hold back a 5% or something, that's not unheard of. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We're satisfied, we paid the balance. I'm kind of curious as to where we're, more than a little curious actually, as to where we're at in terms of our funding on this thing.
You got,
I got $3,000 from the community club.
Okay?
it's my understanding there's,
How about the old alums?
yeah, that's a difficult thing. What are you holding for funds that came in on?
What am I holding?
Yeah.
Over here?
Yes.
Well,
Inside?
it
What's
was
he painting?
$1,535.
What?
1535.
I think the wall's here.
From the alumni?
No,
No,
that was donations.
That came directly
Oh.
to the.
And when did you pay for that?
So we got
That's what
40,
you're trying to figure out.
45.
Yeah, well, we're not.
But I understand that.
We're not.
It's hard, you know,
$1,535.
one time I get told one thing and one time I get told another. There's $5,900 from them. So, I'm gonna try and find Nancy's numbers. Sue is gone with her mother.
Well, don't we
Maybe they're
really
back.
need to know?
Yeah. Well, they've got the money.
Well, I know,
It
but
just-
before the board approves the payment, don't we need
Yeah.
to know what part of it is that we're approving and what part of it is we've got $3,000 from the community club, that's in hand, and $1,535 in donations, right? And nothing from the alumni, so we just have to nail that down, is that
Yeah.
right? Can't we do that? And, I hate that, well, I don't.
I don't know, I've never asked.
Well, the alumni said they were
If you're
going to
good,
give
good.
money for this, so I think
They
they need
will. They'll get the money.
Wait, I understand.
Balloon.
Do we say what we have?
You're saying we need to know how much.
Well,
It'd be nice
yeah.
to know how much.
Maybe pledge.
I don't doubt that they will, but I'd kind of like to know what our investment is as a village.
Well,
You
I
pick
don't
up
think
the
we should
slack.
have to. I don't think we're gonna have to invest anything.
I don't think so either.
No.
Not on this part of the
Well, we've
budget.
already paid the money up front.
Well, right. Yeah,
So we're
we'll
gonna get
have to
that
pay
back?
the bill,
But
but we should
reimbursed.
get money, the alumni will go back into that park fund. So,
Okay. Well, if everybody else is comfortable with it, that's fine. We can approve part of
What
it.
is that part of
This is a piece of shit anyway.
Well, the unpaid portion is $4,633.57.
it says on there what we put down
Oh, it's-
on the yellow sheet.
know what it does?
$3,991.63. And this is the, that's not right either. We have to have a total here.
I lost enough weight, I lost my head or something like that.
I know.
Well, you'd have to just subtract, that was half.
Camera, I think.
So
Get a better view
we
of
had
Mark.
79,
Yeah.
83, 79, 83 was the bid, and then 25, and so
Are you
with
getting there
this
now?
is, extra work.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's the difference between
We paid 39.
$39.91.
Watch your
If you take
mouth.
this one with
Oh, okay.
the
They lie.
Okay,
Oh, I'm telling you.
you'll get the,
so what?
you'll, then you have,
Yeah, $39.91 we paid down.
Yeah, 39.10.
3991.63.
You guys are bad.
And 4633.
It's true, but you're bad.
$8,624.78.
8,600 what?
24.
Even?
Well, I didn't do the cents.
It is right here. You just have to take
Yeah, I guess
this
take
away
this
from that.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Be nice.
And we've got this, 45.
And that was nice. He did a
I
good,
think so, yeah.
huh?
It looks nice.
Well,
I went in
bleachers
there.
in,
Yeah, I made him
Did a
run
nice
and look at
job.
the bleachers.
I thought, compared to what,
Oh, yeah.
what he had to start with.
Oh, yeah. It was pretty, it was getting pretty rough.
Well, what if we approved 4,000 of the bounds, less the $600 and some dollars only?
What is the labor on this part figures?
Right here, it's
Well,
right
it's, okay, and that's with all of its material?
No, this is the material, that's the
Okay,
labor.
what is the total of all that?
This,
Yeah,
this
no,
minus,
these
oh,
items here.
the
Yeah.
material?
Yeah.
Oh, and then at 28,
She doesn't have radio trouble.
30, 35, 45,
They've got till the 13th.
60,
That's not your fault.
72,
Being default.
roughly
They're
$80.
making default. Oh, yeah, but I mean, that would just be another.
Yes, and the labor was
Another
562.
Yeah.
and the
No,
labor-
we're not dissatisfied with that part of it at all, so do we need to make sure we pay that?
Well,
Everybody can remain calm.
We're
I
holding
know.
out a total
This is
sum.
looking
On
at
this painting, on this right here for sure,
Right.
right?
Well,
Well,
What
if you
percent of
hold
that?
out a
pretty
token,
decent. I mean, you said hi.
How
let's
would
say you want to
Well,
come
Jack
back
the
and
Ripper
redo
was
the
a
top.
family man,
Just
too.
the tops of these seats. I think
Well,
it's
he's got
supposed to
three,
be-
but he gave me the GBs. When I was up there
I'm
doing
with you, I'm
tree
holding the
stuff.
633 and the change
Just to
there.
make it
And he
easy
got
for
that
themselves.
grace.
Yeah.
He was up, I
Well,
was
that
on
which-
the
The
yard and he
633
was
50s.
Which is an
Right,
arbitrary
that's
figure.
far enough for me.
You know who
That's
he's
not
kin
good.
to.
It's just easy for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so, that's why I got my whole
And
thing
some
right
of
figured
them-
out,
Uncle?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to figure so I could talk to Lonnie about money.
Well, you have the total.
Well, I'm gonna ask him for that much, but how about I ask him for more, because, you know, there's more painting to the back of that that can be done.
Well, that's up to you,
individually.
Marty.
Well, I'm
I
gonna go
or-
for the
I'm
whole
gonna-
amount, I'm sorry, what they got on hand.
You can
Well, I'm going for it.
negotiate
I
that.
will.
Oh,
People's money.
yeah.
All right,
That's what they
so
raised it for.
let's have a motion to pay, make a partial payment
And they squeaked it paying us
on this bill.
$10.
We definitely need to pay something.
Okay, I'll make the motion to.
Was that included in the two?
We're gonna pay
Oh,
for
yeah, I would charge
We're gonna pay $4,000.
We were trying to be nice.
We were trying to be nice and helpful to the community.
Come up because
Nobody
we're
else
not
is.
satisfied with,
It's great. That whole building. He tried to
We'll
work
look
us
at
on
it,
the building.
and then we
She
will
did.
pay,
She took all the windows out.
when he gets me her
Around all the
satisfaction.
windows,
Really?
painted on the inside of all the window box. They paid her.
Washed all the windows.
They paid her $2,000.
Is that all?
Any other
And
discussion?
that was the only
Must have cleaned up all of our mess, everything.
We were trying to do it with the money.
Mark.
I know,
At
but
the time.
how she likes to
Yeah.
spend other people's money.
And Jason Daniels came up to the meeting and he told these guys, he said, "You got 2.5 hours, it's getting too much money, $4,000 to paint this building." He said, "We need to have him go get the guys that are on work release, have them paint the buildings,
You're kidding.
and
Take
have
the
them
pay to figure it out.
paint these guys for that $2,000.
Why?
And I
I'll
told
move to
him,
adjourn.
I'll second it.
I said, if I have to get these work released, I said, it's a $2,000 painting bid and it's a $7,000
Yeah.
babysitting
Yes.
bid. That's
Yeah.
how it's gonna.
Thank you.
I don't blame you. Is that it? Fun's over.